What's happening, everybody? This your boy C Wells coming at you, your tour guide from SWACTalk. We're gonna pop in here tonight and talk a little National Signing Day. I really did not have a chance to do what I really wanted to do with this, so I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I'm basically gonna. This is an instant reaction for me. So I don't know a lot about these classes, but I just kind of want to talk about them a little bit. Signing day is one of my favorite things, man. I love seeing, teams put together a product. Transfer portal now has really changed the way recruiting is going. Like we've said before, Coach Prime, he likes a 40-40-20 thing, 40 40 high school position to kind of talk about this today. What's up, Big Thrillo, man? What's going on? Welcome aboard. Like I say, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of just go down all of these classes that I can pull up and just just kind of give you an introduction to who these guys are and just go from there. This covering SWAC is not easy, man. You have to do a lot of leg work. There go my boy Jamie G. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And like I said, signing day is not an easy thing in the SWAC because you have some teams have great social media departments. Jackson State, Alabama A&M, FAMU, Grambling really stepped their game up this year in the social media aspect. Man, they had some really good video clips and everything on all the guys that they signed. Those are the teams that kind of set the bar. Everybody else is kind of following along. I thought Southern did a good job with kind of keeping things moving, but I I didn't get to see their Twitter post until 5 minutes ago. But Big Thrillo, we're gonna cover TSU, so I'll let you know who y'all got. Y'all sound a kind of small class, but a lot of people, kind of saving spots for transfers and everything. So let's and let's go ahead and run through. Man, it was very hard to find UAPB stuff. I'm still actually looking for UAPB stuff, so I'm gonna be doing that as I talk. TSU, they actually had an article on their website for the school, so that helped a lot. Alabama State, nice, nice information on the school site. FAMU, nice layout. Everybody's kind of coming together with this, and I know, this is going to get better and better because the spotlight on recruiting now is bigger for the SWAC than it's ever been. So if you want to, make those waves, you got to step up in all aspects. The social media aspect is just as important as the guys that you bring in. So a lot of good talent coming in, a lot of transfers coming in. We're going to start. And I know this, I'm going to go ahead and say off rip, I know this is not the whole list, because I know Coach Prime be doing a lot of work all the time. So from what I got from the JSU website, I'm just going to kind of go down some of these names, I think, and say, how I feel about, teams that address needs and things like that. Jackson State, obviously, the gem of this class, even though he signed early, the gem of this class is Travis Hunter. That's just, off rip. If you know anything about the kid, he's an athlete, man. I personally think he's a better receiver than a defensive back, but you can't go wrong with him at either spot. The dude's a playmaker at either spot. He's a walking touchdown at wide receiver. He's a ball hawk in the secondary. I mean, he was the top. To me, he was the number one recruit in the nation. I don't care that they dropped him down. The kid was the number one recruit in the nation for a reason. Dude did work in 7-on-7. He missed games with injury, came back. 200-yard receiving games in championship settings, just big time plays all the time. So obviously he's the jewel of everybody's recruiting class. But JSU, that JSU hat, that J hat, is a problem, man. When that J hat is on the table, it's a problem. And that was the first one. Another guy that I know, kind of familiar because I do follow Florida State. I'm just gonna keep it 100. Is Kevin Coleman. He's a wide receiver from out of St. Louis, a 4-star guy, really number one #1 ranked recruit in the state of Missouri, 6th rated receiver in the country. Yeah, obviously had 35 offers from FBS programs. Miami was hard on him. Florida State was hard on him. Yeah, you got that right. That you see that a lot, man. A lot of these kids that, especially these kids that signed with JSU, miraculously their ratings went down as they signed. You know, it's still a lot of this stuff is really it's still political, man. And you know, you're dealing with companies that have vested interest in pleasing these Power 5 people. They really go out of their way to appease certain groups of teams and fans. You know, they call it the Bama bump. You know, if you got a 3-star guy, he signed with Bama, he's a 4-star guy. You know, so it's just, you know, it's so subjective that initial ratings and later ratings, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. And I'm not one of them, I'm not a person that's like all in on stars, but I'm also not a stars don't matter guy. I'm in the middle, because at the end of the day, it still comes down to, can you play? If you're rated 5 stars, then obviously you can play. Now that don't necessarily mean you're gonna work out in college, but the bar is set for you high. So, you know, the bust rate can be high. But let's jump back into this. Just gonna run down a few of these names from Jackson State. And like I said, I know this is not the whole list, because Jackson State constantly adding people. But Cameron Buckley, wide receiver from Cedar Hill, Texas, Texas A&M transfer. He's a grad transfer. He played at Indiana and Texas A&M, so he's going to bring in some experience to the receiver room. Christian Henderson, Louisiana Tech transfer, offensive line. I like to see that, you know, JSU is that they really addressed the offensive line with this class. That was a sore spot for this team, and they did a good job of getting guys to fill that. Jason Mercier, I'm not, I don't know if I'm saying anybody's name right, but you know, I'm just gonna go with what I say right now. Jason Mercier from FIU. He's a transfer. Obviously, he played he started in 4 games during the 2020 season, and he played at 13 games at defensive end as a freshman with 13 solo tackles and 31 total tackles. So this is a guy who's going to bring in a lot of experience as well, and that's what you're looking for. You know, you're looking for guys to come in and you know, that can fit in right away, because this new level of recruiting, you know, you're recruiting guys twice now. So you really want to get some guys with experience that can come in and help your team right away, and you know, kind of build the maturity in a room. But you also want to bring in those young guys to kind of fill a void and get them ready. Yeah, I thought that was a guy that I really thought they might have had a shot with. But you know, I like Southern's class, and we're gonna get to them in a couple. Mike Please is a linebacker from Southern Miss. He's a guy who he coming in with freshman experience. He did play in a few games at Southern Miss, so that's a young guy that's gonna be able to step up with some, you know, FBS experience and training. So that helps a lot. Evan Henry, offensive lineman from ULM, again addressing the offensive line. Big time move for Jackson State. He was a 2-year starter in high school at offensive guard. Played in 3 games at ULM. Jasper Frills, he's from Germany actually. He went to Cal and Iowa Western. So he's a guy, you know, those big foreign guys are gonna always be, you know, people movers. Again, offensive line, you know, they really address offensive line a lot this year. Semi Moala, a big Samoan guy. You know, Samoans on the offensive line, you know, that goes without saying. When Alcorn was going through their run, they had a lot of those type of guys on their offensive line. So those guys are road graders. They're really gonna move some people around. So that's a nice addition. Shantavius Vardman, again, offensive line. I really like to see these offensive line signees for Jackson State. Yeah, I think Please has. Yeah, I think he has that size to move around. You know, I think the one thing with Jackson's defense, and you know this, James, is that they are aggressive. So they're gonna go with the speed. If he's speed wise, if he can do it, I think he'll fit well. to kind of play downhill at one of the safety spots. So I really I'm interested to see how some of these guys fit in. Obviously they you took some big losses on defense, but you still got a lot of guys coming back. So that's the key thing. Kevion Mullins, tight end from South Carolina. He played a lot at South Carolina, so that's an experienced guy. I think he can play wide or play tight end. So that's a nice addition. Jordan Williams from Indiana. He was one of 10 true freshmen to play in 2021 in Indiana. So that he has a little bit of playing experience, but he's a 4-star prospect. Jarente Davis from Middle Tennessee started 12 games there. True Thompson from FSU. This kid is a monster, man. He's a strong guy, man. He got caught up in numbers at FSU, but he can play. So I think he's gonna really push for that defensive tackle spot, and he should be able to, make some waves there. I'm really glad to see him get another opportunity because he got lost in the shuffle at FSU. So it's a good opportunity for him to get a good fresh start. And the last name I have on this list is Frankie Burgess from Pahokee. If you know anything about the Muck, then I don't care about Muck guys. They're gonna be dogs regardless, man. Pahokee, Belglade, those guys down in the Muck, they get it, man. They literally get it out the mud. So if I see somebody from like Pahokee or Belglade, then I'm already gonna say he's gonna be a dog. So I don't even know what Frankie Burgess is gonna do when he get to Jackson State, but he's gonna bring that dog mentality because he coming straight out of the Muck. So if y'all don't know, I check out the Muck City documentary, man. Belglade, Pahokee is always just, those guys are serious dogs. So if you get a guy from there, he's gonna work hard off rip. So that's basically what I have from Jackson State right now. I know like I said, no Prime is always in his bag, so he's gonna add more guys. And JSU always gonna be, keeping their foot on people's necks, and that J hat is always gonna be lurking now. So that's something that we're gonna have to keep a close eye on as the season continues. Keep an eye out for a lot of movement in the spring at the spring practice from a lot of teams. So should have another wave of transfers after the spring. A team that threw numbers at their problems was Alabama A&M. They signed 38 guys in this signing period. So they went very heavy on the portal, very heavy on defense. They did get some offensive linemen, but they threw a lot of numbers at the defense because we know that defense was not good. The offense was really good. The defense was porous all year. They did add a lot of transfers last year, but most of those guys didn't pan out. So they're going back heavy to the portal again. Marquez Beeson is a 5'11", 195-pound defensive back from Dallas. He went to University of Illinois. Carlos Becker, another guy from FSU, got caught up in numbers. He's 6'2", 195. Again, he was the number 7 cornerback coming out of high school, and the number 48 overall prospect by ESPN. So he's a guy who really could play. He had some injuries at FSU, but he just couldn't really find his way. So that's another guy that they're throwing at numbers at. The secondary are Charles Bell from Marshall, 5'11", 220 safety. Again, secondary, David Coleman from Stephen F. Austin and University of Arizona. He's a linebacker. Deontay Burns, cornerback from Bowling Green. Shikari Denson, defensive back from Ohio University. Zarion Hayes, defensive end transfer from App State. Jericho Tamu, defensive tackle from Modesto Junior College. Eddie Watkins, defensive end from West Virginia. Dorian Wesley, defensive tackle, University of Toledo. Basically, you see they're throwing names, they're throwing hella numbers at their defense because they know that they need to fix it. A guy I like that's coming in is Jaron Williams from Miami. He's quarterback. He started a lot at Miami as a freshman, so he's gonna come in and push. I like that quarterback battle between him and Quincy Casey. I think it's gonna be a good battle, and they should have a really solid quarterback whoever comes out of that room. Jeremiah Payton is a receiver, also from the University of Miami. Caleb Blake, Caleb Blake's a guy who transferred to Florida State from Colorado State. He walked on at FSU, so he did. He left for a scholarship opportunity. He did get some special teams action at FSU. I think he played a couple games in the secondary, but again, numbers at defense. Ryan Brown, defensive tackle from Maryland. Rashad Colson, defensive tackle from FIU. Isaiah Cox, wide receiver from Ohio University. Sebastian Dawson, offensive lineman from FAU. Moses Douglas, safety from University of Kentucky. Thomas Douglas, linebacker from Georgia Military College. Dennis Fisher, safety from Iowa Western College. William Ford, cornerback from Cumberland University. Aleem Glass is Akil Glass's brother. He is a defensive end from St. Louis. So he's coming in to continue the Glass tradition at AAMU. So keep an eye out on him. Keenan Hambrick, wide receiver from Western Carolina. Justin Hayes, defensive end from Samford University. Pharrell Hester, linebacker from UNLV. Saeed Hope, safety from Toledo. Samson Jackson, offensive lineman from Ohio University. Ramir Lewis, offensive lineman. He's a high school kid from Belleville High School in Michigan. Devontae McCray, defensive end from North Texas. Clint Okoli, linebacker from ASA Miami. Jaquil Reef, cornerback from Buffalo. Alvin Rice, safety, another high school kid. Deshaun Terry, linebacker from East Carolina. Darren Turner, wide receiver from Arkansas. Kenny Wilkins, running back from Iowa Western. Malcolm Williams, defensive end from Central Florida. Dontrez Williams, safety from Fort Scott College. And Dontrell Womack, a linebacker from Iowa Western. So I keep saying it, but A&M threw numbers at that defense. So obviously, 38 guys they're bringing in. The bulk of them are defensive guys. So you got to figure that somebody's going to work out in this. They went heavy portal. I think I saw like 3 or 4 high school guys on that list. So they really dove deep into the portal. So they really are trying to fix that defense right away with guys that have college experience. So we'll see how that works out for them because the fall, their defense just was not good. They really put the offense in a lot of bad positions, and they're gonna have to pull that weight if they want to continue to challenge in that East Division, because that East Division is tough and it's only going to get tougher. I'm looking at FAMU. Just a little aesthetic thing. I like the way that they have their guys listed on their website. Nice little photo shoot picture, and and then you can click on it, the bio and everything. So salute FAMU, man. Y'all doing a good job on the social media and website situation. So looking at their group of guys, they brought in Jalen Armstrong. He's an offensive lineman from Calhoun County, Mississippi. TJ Demas, offensive lineman from Clearwater, Florida. Isaiah Major, offensive linebacker from Oklahoma City. William McCollum, offensive lineman from Jackson, Mississippi. Zaire Riley, defensive back from Havana, Florida. Darion Whedon, offensive lineman from Oklahoma City. Again, I like to see these teams addressing that offensive line. You need that to build your team. That's the building block of your team. Great skill guys and no line. It's tough. So being able to get some guys in that can help establish that offensive line room is a big thing. So FAMU was doing it. JSU did it. That's the way to go. Michael Watson II, linebacker from Fairburn, Georgia. Kareem Burke, wide receiver from Jacksonville, Florida. Jeremy Musa, quarterback from Chino Hills, California. Lamar Mullins, defensive back from Miami. Jordan Moore, defensive back from Yoakum, Texas. Eric Horn, linebacker from Jacksonville, Florida. Destin Coates, running back from Tallahassee. Trevante Davis, wide receiver from Flint, Michigan. Devin Smith, linebacker from Jacksonville, Florida. Jalen Goss from Valdosta, Georgia, offensive lineman, another FSU guy. Dre Jones, defensive lineman from Manchester, Georgia. And Kimani King, he's from Newport Richey. They don't list a position for him. But this is, they went all over. They tried to address a lot of needs that they have. They took some losses in the secondary, so they're filling in those spots. They brought in another quarterback to compete for that spot. I still feel like McKay has a hold on that job, but you can never have enough numbers in that room, especially guys that are going to push each other to make that room better. They brought in some receivers, some linebackers. They kind of went all over. I like that they went offensive line, pretty heavy. So that to me, that always is going to win out for me, because I think you just need to address your lines. You have a good line on either side of the ball, you have a great chance of winning games. So if you can stop the run and run the ball, that helps. If you can protect your quarterback and get pressure on the other quarterback, then obviously your secondary doesn't have to do as much work. So I think these are good moves by those teams. Grambling brought in a huge class as well. They brought in 36 guys. Hugh Jackson came in, man, hit the ground running. He signed one of my favorite kids out of high school from my alma mater, Deuce Williams, Chance Williams, call him Deuce, running back from Scotlandville. Kid's electric, man. He played defensive back, receiver, running back. He ran kicks back. He could find the end zone. So I think that's a kid. Hopefully, I would love to see him get a lot of time at Grambling. He had FBS offers, but that was the first place Hugh Jackson went after he signed that contract with Grambling. He was in Baton Rouge at Scotlandville to talk to this kid. So that's a playmaker, and the offense has some guys, but not a lot of explosive guys. That offense should get better with the guys that they brought in. Tyson Bordeaux is a receiver, big body guy, 6'5", 180. He's going to help that receiver room a lot. Julian Kalen Calvez is a quarterback from Jones in Orlando. So again, they have Noah Biden coming back. They have a couple other guys still there, but I don't think anybody's obviously won that job yet, because that job is going to be open through the spring, especially with a new coach and stuff. So bringing in another guy to compete is going to be a good thing. Meldon Capers, he's a defensive lineman coming out of high school in Montgomery. Floyd Chalk, the fourth running back from California. Coach Hugh went deep into California. That's his home roots. So he went deep in that area. C.L. Chapman, also from Mission Hills, California, wide receiver, another freshman. Shante Cole from Coushatta, Red River High School in Louisiana. 6'4", 300 offensive line. Coming in, really going to be a guy that's going to help that line grow. I really think that Grambling is going to be much improved, just on the strength of the coaches that they brought in and the way that they threw a lot of guys. They threw numbers at this issue. So I think, I really throw enough at the wall, something's going to stick, but they got some guys who can play. Xavier Coussar, he's a defensive tackle coming from Long Beach City College. Nori Johnson from Cincinnati, defensive back, 6'3", 185. That's really good size for that kid. Byron Jones, also from California, defensive tackle. Freshman coming in, Bradley Lewis from New Iberia, Louisiana, defensive line. He's also a basketball player, so he's going to be really athletic on the edge. 6'3", 215. They're going to get a little weight on him, but he should be a guy who can make some plays off the edge. Dalton Lyons from North Palm Beach, Florida, offensive line. Taj Martin, Louisville, Texas, offensive line. Leroy Page, defensive back, 6'4", 195 from New Orleans. Again, another big body defensive back. You got to combat these big receivers with big DBs, and Grambling's doing that with this class. Jawan Singletary, offensive line from Houston, Texas, Navarro College. Dante Starks is a guy who you really keep your eyes on, man. He was a big-time guy coming out of high school from Marrero, Louisiana, went to LSU first, had a couple issues, ended up at JUCO at Kahoma Community College. Did well there, and, committed to Southern, flipped to Grambling. So we'll see what he does, but he's a guy who can really make some plays, 6'1", 217. He's going to be a speed guy back there. At linebacker, you could sometimes slide him on the edge and let him do work. So that's a good player, You keep him focused. He's gonna make some plays for you. Marquise Sykes from Lancaster, Texas. Wallace Unaba from Kilgore, Texas, Kilgore Junior College, offensive line. Like I said, Chance Williams from Schuylerville. Nolan Wilson from Newhall, California, Calabasas High School. He's a long snapper, 6'4", 260, so getting special teams in as well. Faison Wilson, Lancaster High School in Texas, 6'4", 207, really good size for wide receiver. Robert Wilson, defensive back, 5'11", 175 from Tallahassee, Lincoln High School. Noah Bean, Simi Valley, California, UNLV. Tight end, 6'2", 235. He's a grad transfer. Jaden Brunson from South Carolina State. Defensive back, 5'9", 192. Devin Bush from Arkansas. Another guy that they flipped from Southern, from Edna Carr in New Orleans. Didn't get a lot of time at Arkansas, but he's a guy who can play in the secondary. So he's 6 foot 200. I expect him to come in and challenge for a spot on that defense. He played at Edna Carr, New Orleans. That's a winning program. You know, that's a kid that knows how to win. They won multiple state titles, a couple undefeated seasons. You know, coming in with a lot of high accolades, but not a lot of on-field experience. So he can be molded to what Grambling wants him to be. So that's a guy you're going to have for at least 2 years to help you. Quatarius Hawkins, transfer from Jones College, quarterback, 6 foot 180. Kijaya Hollywayne from UCLA, quarterback, 6'4", 210. Cody Hornsby from Delaware State, offensive line, 6'3", 280. Bryson Huey, another big receiver, 6'4", 205, from Naaman Forest High School in Texas. Tyrese Johnson from Booker T. Washington in New Orleans, 6'2", 190 wide receiver. Cameron Jones from SMU, defensive back, 6'1", 199. They got a lot of big defensive backs, so they really trying to address their size issue against those opposing receivers. That should help them a lot. Jalen Martin from Cal, 6'2", 190, another defensive back. Chris Satterfield from Abilene Christian, defensive back, 5'10", 190. Maurice Washington, kid, he went to Nebraska out of high school. Had some problems there, but he's an electric guy. I've heard a lot of people say that he's pretty much on the straight and narrow right now. So if he can stay focused on football and school and all of that, he's going to be a problem for the SWAC, man. This kid is an electric guy. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run it. You know, he's really, really electric. And he played a lot at Nebraska before he had his issues. He played in the first 7 games at Nebraska, ran for 298 and a touchdown, 12 passes for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. As a true freshman at Nebraska, he started 11. He played in 11 games with starts against Ohio State and Iowa. He had 455 yards rushing that year and 221 receiving. So he's gonna be a guy who can do a lot for you. Like I say, he coming in with some issues. You know, if he can keep himself clean, then he's gonna be a big factor for this team. Jawan Waters from Southern Utah, another big receiver, 6'3", 180. Romello Watson from Kilgore Junior College. He's an offensive lineman, 6'4", 300. Michael White from TCU, wide receiver, 6'5", 185. Grambling through, like I said, they went at offensive line heavy. You know, they know that's you know, that was one of the issues that the team had. They really couldn't run the ball well. They couldn't really protect the passer. They went out and got guys that can help this unit get better. They got a lot of big receivers out there. They got some big defensive backs. They got a couple, really nice running backs. They added a couple quarterbacks as well to kind of add to the competition in the quarterback room. So I like this class that Grambling brought in. They, like I said, they had a nice mix of transfers and high school guys. They didn't go heavy one way or heavy the other way. They kind of balanced it out. So I think that they got some guys who are going to come in, especially as transfers, that are come in and play right away. They got some freshman guys who may not play this year, but they're gonna set the foundation for the future. So I like the direction Grambling went. Like I said, they had another 30+ player class, so they brought in a lot of numbers. Moving on to TSU, Texas Southern added 8 guys in this class here. 4 offensive linemen, they went heavy offensive line. If you got a quarterback like Andrew Body, you need to protect him. Yes, he's good with his legs, but you really, want to keep him upright. You got your running backs. Ladarius Owens is a monster, so he's a guy. You want to open up holes and you want to protect your quarterback. And I thought they did a good job bringing in some big guys. 5 offensive linemen in this class: 6'3", 295. Thomas Brown from Southern Shreveport. Dennis Jones, 6'6", 340. Offensive lineman from Dallas, Texas. South Oak Cliff. Jakota Lewis from Cleveland, Ohio. Dodge City Community College, 6'2", 310. Tadrick Mathis, offensive lineman from North Shore in Houston. That's a quality program, 6'3", 300. Reggie Neal, offensive lineman, 6'6", 355 from East Central University, DeSoto, Texas. Then they brought in 2 wide receivers, Trenton Leary from Austin, Texas, 5'9", 165, and TJ Turner, 6'3", 200 from Mesquite, Texas, and linebacker Isaiah Bargety from Stafford, Texas, 6'4", 225. So they went pretty heavy offense with this 8. Like I said, they signed 8 guys. 5 of the 8 offensive linemen. So that's a key, protecting Andrew Body, opening the holes for the running game. Couple of receivers, 1 big receiver, 1 small receiver. Weapons for weapons. I thought I saw that TSU did have a quarterback commit. So I don't think they're quite done. Like I said, this signing period does last a couple of days, so you could get a couple other kids in. And like I said, there's always the portal. But I thought I saw earlier that TSU had a quarterback commit, so we'll see what happens with that. But it's not a big class, but this is a quality class because you're bringing in guys that address needs. And like I said, I'm all for the offensive line, protecting your asset at quarterback. That you have that key piece to your puzzle. You want to protect them. And the defense is definitely something that needs to be fixed. I think last year the offense won some games and were in some games in spite of that defense. And I've had a couple discussions with some people about that, but that defense was not good last year. They did not stop anybody majority of the time. The offense was just that electric that they were able to outscore people. So I think that's something, if they dip, I think they may dip into the portal for that. So we'll see what they do in the upcoming days. But like you said, defensively, I think they're gonna really get some guys. And this is like I said, you looking for guys that come from guys that come from anywhere in Texas, you're gonna get players. So I think if they can get them some athletes to kind of make some plays for them, I think they'll be in good shape. I like Texas Southern a lot. I like the job that Coach McKinney is doing now. So I think that they're gonna continue to build. They kind of was ahead of schedule last year, being so young, and to win a few games that they should not have won. But later in the season, they had the confidence to play against a team like Jackson State and honestly be toe to toe with them for a long time. Yeah, that's why I thought they had a quarterback commit. I didn't see him on this list, so I don't know. Maybe he hadn't signed yet, but I know they had a quarterback coming in. So that's I'm all for guys coming in, and I think TSU. I don't think they're done. So I think they're gonna probably bring in a few more guys, and like I said, I think they're probably gonna do like a lot of teams that go portal. Not heavy, but they were very young last year, so they have a lot of guys that are gonna come in that are coming back. So if they can get some defensive guys to stop some people, I think TSU will be a factor in this division. Offensively, they are explosive, so I think they'll have a good opportunity to get even better with more experience. The next team I want to talk about is Bethune-Cookman. They brought in a pretty decent class. Like I said, I kind of had to go through Twitter to get this. They didn't have anything on their website, so I'm just gonna go down names. They didn't list any positions. I don't know these. Yes, okay, they're on here. Sorry about that. We're gonna start with. Let's see where we're gonna start. Ryan Gale, he's a wide receiver. So they bring in offensive guys. Desmond Daniels, offensive line from Louisville, transfer, University of Louisville. James Evans, running back from Tampa Tech. That's a high school team that's been a lot better. They've been a team that's been putting out some quality high school kids. So he's a guy who's gonna make some plays for you. Steven Sparrow, athlete from Jones High in Orlando. Devin Harrell, linebacker from Lawton Childs High School in Tallahassee. Georgia Prep defensive end Darrell Simpson. Taj Brighthawk, offensive line from Shorter University. Julian Basteria, offensive line from Ellsworth JUCO. Brandon McDonald, running back from Feltram Prep. Gabriel Bryan, cornerback from Wagner College. Darius Baker from Kahoma Junior College, offensive lineman. Jalen Jones, quarterback from Jackson State, Florida, and Mississippi Delta JUCO. So he's a guy. They bring in some competition to the quarterback room. Devin Black started quite a bit at the end of the season. Shannon Patrick was a guy who played a lot, but he was turnover prone. So bringing in an athletic guy in Jalen Jones, if you're a SWAC person, then you know him. So he's coming. He's staying in the SWAC after a stint in JUCO. Akeem Hayes, wide receiver from Arkansas State. Jamon Efert, University of Oregon transfer, linebacker. Elias DeLeon, offensive lineman, Cisco Junior College. Rosondo Luis, linebacker from South Carolina University. Nabane Moore, quarterback from Palmetto Prep. Gerard Poe, cornerback, Cisco Community College. Damon Polite, defensive back. Jeremiah Connolly, athlete from Edgewater in Orlando. Isaiah Williams, athlete from Wagner High School. Frank Wilson, defensive end from SIU Charter School. Jaquan Haynes, athlete from Plantation High School in Florida. Ontavious Carolina, athlete from Colquitt High. Jalen Jackson, athlete from Potomac Falls High School. So they kind of had a mix of guys. They really went heavy on their offense. Didn't bring in a lot of defensive guys. I think defensively was kind of their issue last year. They had some problems stopping people, but they brought in some athletes. Now the key is gonna be, can they open up their offense? Bringing in some guys. I think if Jalen Jones wins this job, then his offense is gonna be at least more athletic. He's gonna make some plays with his legs. Not the best passer, but he's gonna be able to extend some plays, and should be an interesting quarterback battle. I like seeing that they went out the offensive line and a few receivers and running backs. I didn't think they went too heavy on defense, which is where I really think that they need the most work, the most help on defense. So we'll see how they do, if they're gonna add any more guys late in the season. Like I said, expect another wave of transfers to come after the spring, once guys start to find out that they're not going to get what they thought they was going to get at their school. They're going to hit the portal, so expect to see some movement from our schools and from other schools in the springtime and summer. So really should be a really good opportunity for people to see what happens with guys looking for new horizons. Next, we're going to talk about Southern. Southern had a really solid class. Coach Dooley brought in a lot of guys early. He brought in he went heavy defense, a few offensive linemen, quarterback, a couple running backs and receivers, but he went really heavy defense. Southern's defense was porous last year. They have talent. They did battle injury from time to time, so they brought in some defensive guys to make some plays. Jason Greathouse, I'm sure all y'all know him now. Salute to J Max from Swacking the Fool for that interview that he had with him. He's a defensive end. He's a guy who can step on that field and hopefully make some plays for Southern. 20.5 sacks in JUCO last year. So he's a guy you're looking at expanding and improving Southern's pass rush, getting Southern Getting Jordan Lewis healthy should help them a lot. They brought in Trey Lang in the December signing period. He's another guy who can come off the edge. They're trying to get this defense back together. So they're going pretty heavy in defense. Eli Fields is an offensive lineman from FAU. Southern lost a couple of good offensive linemen. Jatari Carter, who's really doing well in the Senior Bowl practices right now. So he's a guy who can come in and maybe fill that void. Kendrick Rhymes, running back from Heights High School in Texas. Guy, 6 foot, 185. He's going to be one of those slash type guys for Coach Dooley. Joshua Short, Mississippi State transfer from Greenville, Mississippi, cornerback. Keelan Roach from Marshall. He's also a cornerback, 6'1", 185. Reggie King from Prairie View, and Louis Baton Rouge kid. He's a wide receiver, really, really speedy guy. Was a junior Olympian. We should see what they do. Southern did bring in a couple quarterbacks. Where they brought in Bashawn McKay in the December signing period, and they signed a quarterback from Dallas, Texas, named Chris Tucker. He's a 6'4" kid. He doesn't have a lot of football experience. That he played like 3 years, in 3 years of football right now. So he's gonna probably be a project type of kid that they can mold. But they still do need a guy that's gonna take the reins at their quarterback spot. I would not rule out maybe bringing in another guy. Obviously, they're gonna see what the competition is like in the spring. But quarterback is a position that's not solved for Southern. So that's probably gonna be a position that won't be solved until we get to the fall. Now, if you're a Southern fan, you hope that that position is solved before the spring is over. Hopefully, a guy can take the reins and really get that under control. Xavier Potts is a defensive tackle from Manville High School in Texas. Cassius Allen, he's from Kilgore Community College, 6'4", 210 wide receiver. They bringing in a big body, like I said, Chris Tucker from Madison High School in Dallas, Texas, 6'5", 210 quarterback. Deshaun Davis, Iowa State transfer at linebacker. Isaiah Taylor, another wide receiver from Coffeyville Junior College, 6'1", 190. Carl Ligon, running back from Alabama. So they brought in 3 backs. Southern has backs. I mean, they lost Craig Nelson to the portal the other day, and Devon Ben moved on as a senior. So they do have some spots, but Southern still returns Gerard Sims and Kobe Dillon at running back. So that running back room should be regrouped again. They should we should see, really what this class can do. Marcus Cunningham, MJ Cunningham, linebacker from Butler Community College at the University of Oregon. Kobe Phillips, Tulane transfer, cornerback. Terrence Dunlap, this was a guy who was supposed to play in the fall. He had some issues with transferring to Southern, so now he's actually eligible to play. He's a guy that I'm eager to see play outside of cornerback. Southern really did struggle with pass coverage, so I think that being able to bring him in as a starting type of guy, he started a couple years at Troy. That's an experienced guy that they're bringing in. He's going to help a lot. Nice class. Like I said, they brought in a couple more guys that they don't have on here yet. But this was a pretty solid class. I think Southern really, is trying to address the defense first and foremost, and receiver, because those are places that they didn't have enough playmakers. The running back room was great. Tight end room was solid. Offensive line was one of the best in the league. So quarterback, I'm still, kind of questioning. I don't think they brought in anybody who's going to just snatch the job away from Bubba. But I don't know if Bubba's going to take that step to solidify the job for himself. So quarterback is definitely in a position that I can still see Southern bringing in a guy late. Coach Dooley did that at Prairie View last year. When it came out of spring season, the quarterback play was iffy. They were able to bring in Juwan Pass. So we'll see, what Southern can do in that position. So really, let's talk about Alcorn. Alcorn brought in a pretty small class. They brought in Chris Ballard, defensive lineman from Riverside Community College. Andre Smith, defensive back from Cisco Community College. Christopher Smith, defensive lineman from Lakeland, Florida. 6'4", 200. So he goes, I really think he can be, he's going to be an edge type of guy. Got to get a little weight on him, but he's going to be an edge type of guy. Connor Foy, offensive lineman from Pearl High School, 6'2", 290. Jaquez Dew, linebacker from Lenore Ryan College, 6'1", 215. Keywan Herndon, running back from Colorado State, 5'9", 185. Charles Gonzalez, defensive lineman, Cisco Community College, 6'3", 240. Aaron Allen, he's a grad transfer from Louisiana Tech at quarterback, 6'1", 200. I expect, this is a guy I think that's going to be at a challenge for quarterback spot at Alcorn right now. It's wide open with Felix Harper being gone, so definitely need somebody to take the reins there. Al Jalen Marshall, defensive tackle from Laurel High School, 6', 240. Ronald Brown, offensive lineman, Mississippi Delta Community College. So not a big class, but they went heavy on the lines. Both offensive and defensive line, Alcorn's lines were not Alcorn quality on either side of the ball last year. So they really went there heavy. A couple of skilled guys and a quarterback. So, they really tried to address the needs that they had on the line. So that was a really nice move by Coach McNair. Didn't bring in a lot of guys, but excuse me, they brought in some guys who can help right away. Taking a look at Alabama State, they brought in they went kind of heavy portal. A lot of people had no clue what this class was going to look like. We still don't know what kind of recruiter Eddie Robinson is going to be. We don't know if this is, the new coach smell right now, or this is what this team is going to be. But they're gonna, they brought in a nice size class. So we'll run through that. Roderick Daniels, defensive lineman from Mississippi. Jalen Sultan, running back from Mobile, Alabama. Levante Chenault, wide receiver from DeSoto, Texas. His brother was an NFL wide receiver from Colorado, so he has a pedigree. Terrell Lightfoot, defensive end, Atlanta, Georgia. Grant Graffin Reed, linebacker from Chandler, Arizona. Jalen Lewis Horton, athlete from Alabama. Jace Medlock, tight end, Dallas, Texas. Jawan Howell, running back, Lynette, Alabama. Michael Victor, defensive back, Pomona, California. Kale Jackson, defensive back, midfield, Georgia. Colin Dunn, linebacker, Collierville, Tennessee. Marcus Harris, running back, Jackson, Mississippi. Marcus LaPierre, defensive line, Plantation, Florida. Bakari Daly, wide receiver, Auburn, Alabama. Kanye Varner, somebody named their kid Kanye. That's the point in time we are in where kids are old enough to be named Kanye. Defensive lineman, Jonesboro, Georgia. Obviously, the kid's not. Kanye ain't been out 18 years, I don't think. So, maybe a good guess. Ray Curry Jr., offensive lineman, Memphis, Tennessee. Adrian Willis, defensive lineman, Ridgeway, Tennessee. Rogers McLeod, offensive line, Chickasaw, Alabama. Keith Ward, offensive line, Auburndale, Florida. Adrian Maddox, defensive back, Conyers, Georgia. Zalian Henry, linebacker, Dothan, Alabama. Naquan Lett, quarterback, Fairburn, Georgia. Jaden John, kicker from Miami, Florida. That's actually the first kicker that I've seen on anybody's class. Of course, UAPB signed a kicker as well. And Chevalier Condry, defensive lineman. So Alabama State went heavy offense. They do need a lot of guys on offense. They lost Ezra Gray, who is a big-time weapon for their offense. And they didn't really have a really, really good offense last year. Defensively, they were solid. They returned a lot of those pieces. So defensively is not a problem. Offensively is where they need to kind of improve. And I thought they did a good job with bringing in the numbers to at least take the steps to fix that issue. Like I said, you don't never know what guys are going to do, obviously, until they get there. But I thought they did a good job with addressing some issues. And like I said, you know, it's the jury is still out. You know, I mean, Eddie Robinson comes in. We still don't know what kind of coach he's gonna be. We're gonna see, you know, how he's gonna be able to hold up, year in and year out against a lot of these coaches recruiting. We're gonna see what kind of on-field coach he is. So it's a lot left to be seen by Alabama State. So we're gonna keep our eyes on the Hornets. Next, we're gonna take a look at UAPB. They actually, you know, they went out and got some guys. Darrell Halston, defensive back. They brought in Jalen Clemmer, wide receiver. Grant Ewell Jr., defensive back. Mekhi Higgins, quarterback. Johnny Williams, running back. Isaiah Butcher, defensive line. Marcus Hill, wide receiver. Jaden Swink, defensive line. Tyler Shaw, defensive back. Kenji Lewis, wide receiver. Michael Riley, linebacker. Jalen Francis, offensive line. Samuel Young, offensive line. Anquise LeQuman, defensive end. Jewel Fletcher, athlete. Tristan Ballard, tight end. Chancellor Edwards, quarterback. Cameron Rutherford, offensive line. Trey Gliff, kicker, second kicker that we've seen, and probably the best on the list. Derek White, wide receiver. Tyree Johnson, linebacker. Kirsten Rogers, running back. Curtis Kells, wide receiver. Jacob Harrison, athlete. Pine Bluff, you know, they did not have a good season last year. They fell off really hard after the spring season where they made the SWAC championship. So they need a lot. They lost a lot of guys to the portal. So they need to bring in some guys. Yeah, JSU, they brought in a kicker. I did not see his name. I couldn't remember his name for the life of me. He was not on the list, but he's gonna. I know they're building up a kicker rivalry at JSU. So we'll see what kind of stats these guys put up. So need more kickers. You know, you need special teams. So I think you know, anytime you can bring in guys that can help your team as special teams, it goes a long way in making your team better. People forget about special teams. That's a lot of what we lose and win games, not being able to make key kicks or punts. So bringing in these kind of guys that can help you, kids that are trained to kick and really want to kick, that's what you need to bring in, not just somebody that, you know, can kick a ball. You need a guy who knows what he's doing. So Jackson State and Pine Bluff, they both brought in really good guys at their position. But Pine Bluff needs a lot of help this year. So we'll see. You know, they didn't bring in a huge class, but they brought in some guys. They lost a lot. So we'll see what they can do. We'll see what they can do with these guys that they bring in. So Doc Gamble, I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but he's on the hot seat. So we'll see what he can do with this class. Coming off of, you know, a fall and a spring together, this is first true off season. So we'll see, you know, how he handles this program, if they can turn this around and get it back on track. I appreciate that. I could not think of his name for the life of me, and they did not have him on the website that I used with the JSU website for the signees. So appreciate that information because I just totally blanked on his name. So thank you very much. Looking at Valley, Coach Dancy, you know, really went after some guys. I think Valley's gonna be a problem. I know everybody feels that way, but Valley's, you know, they're building. If they can keep guys around, then I think they'll be okay. Looking at what they brought in Fred Smith. He's a defensive back from Southern Miss. Jordan Montgomery, safety from Coahoma Community College. Jerron Marshall, offensive line. He's a grad transfer from Abilene Christian. Jimmy Bennett, offensive line from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Caljuwan Johnson, defensive back from Itawamba Community College. Kentario Davis, offensive line from Jones College. Ashon Dingle, running back He's from Tyler Junior College. Stephon Smith, defensive line from Hines Community College. Divon McKinney from Mercer High School in Asheboro. From Mercer in Asheboro, North Carolina, Mercer College. Tyler Shorter, defensive back from Northeast Mississippi Community College. Tenoris Brookins, wide receiver from East Mississippi Community College. Cameron Gardner, wide receiver from Mississippi State. Chadrick Moses, defensive back from Mississippi College. Malcolm Johnson, defensive back from Langston. Cameron Hines, wide receiver from East Mississippi Community College. Miles Hobson, wide receiver from East Mississippi Community College. So they hit EMCC really hard, especially at the receiver position. Mike Cochran from Jones College. Jamari Jones, quarterback from East Mississippi Community College. Narcissus Driver Jr., tight end from Southern Miss. Kendarian Dixon, linebacker from Jones College. Adoro Lee, safety from Copiah Lincoln Community College. Javen Griffin, offensive line from St. Martinville, Louisiana, freshman. Devin Reynolds, offensive line from Beecher High School in Mount Morris, Michigan. Dietrich Jones, defensive lineman, freshman from Grissom High School in Huntsville, Alabama. Ghana Oba, running back from Miami Central. You get a Miami Central guy, those guys are always dogs as well. Justin Ested, defensive lineman from Kennesaw Mountain High School, freshman. Jacoby Shell, defensive line from Forest City High School in Arkansas, freshman. And Ejavius Jackson, defensive line, freshman from Kemper County High School in Mississippi. So Valley went heavy JUCO. They really went at a lot of Mississippi Junior College guys. A couple transfers from FBS and FCS programs, but they went hard on JUCO. Few freshmen. They're really trying to plug and play guys, and get this thing, get this rebuild really rolling. Valley won quite a few more games than I thought they would. So I think they're going to continue to improve. The East is very tough. So, they may improve, but they may not have a better record. That's one thing that a lot of people need to keep in mind. So the record and improvement do not always go hand in hand. So, they stole a couple games. They had a couple games that they probably should have won that they didn't. So we'll see if they can continue to grow. But they went heavy junior college with this class, and a really solid group of guys to come in and play right away. The last school that we have, and I don't have anything on them. Is Prairie View. I know they got a really good running back, Connor Wisham from Zachary, Louisiana. That's right up the road for me. He's a state champ kid. He played on a team that won multiple state championships. Really good running back. So that's pretty much the only guy that I personally know of that went to PV. I'm gonna try to scour and get their list. Obviously, 11 out of 12 teams I was able to easily find. Well, not easily, but I was able to find information. So a lot of leg work that I had to come home from work and do. But I wanted to go ahead and get a little signing day content out there for you guys. So not gonna stay on here too much longer because I've been at work all day. I ain't been home but a couple hours. But I wanted to come on here and talk a little SWAC football. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be live again at 6 p.m. with SWAC Smoke. Sunday, be back to covering a little bit of basketball and whatever else comes up. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for chiming in. And, if you find that PV list, man, hit me up with it. Other than that, I'm going to sign on out. Y'all enjoy y'all night, and I'll catch y'all on the rebound.